we're going to talk about VR for impact. Let's start with Grégoire.
Okay, thank you.
Grégoire, you're a storyteller, a producer. You're trying to create another sensory experience? Producer. Yeah. I know that you're working with people like Jane Goodall, so probably many people know of Jane Goodall. So can you explain us what kind of experience you're doing?
So I represent Wild Immersion, which is called as a local-based entertainment company, which means that we get people into locations and get them to wear headsets and see our contents. So we also produce our contents, which are focused on biodiversity and wildlife. At the moment, we are operating in 6 countries, and we had 200,000 visitors last year. So it's a great start. And yes, the goal of our company is we have 3 goals. In fact, first one is to educate our public about the biodiversity stakes of the world, which is very important. Then we get a VR on their head and we connect them, we teleport them into wildlife so they can remember how beautiful it is, and they will also remember that they love it. And as you know, you only protect what you love. So our ultimate goal is to get the people to act for nature and to protect it. And yes, when we have a partner with Jane Goodall and her institute, it's a way to get people to know the people working on site, on the field, to know about what you can do to help. For Jane Goodall, for instance, it's chimpanzees, but she's talking about all the wildlife.
Okay, so and VR is helping that, the fact that you are immersed into...
Yes, connection, definitely. Connection, teleportation, you will, I know that everybody in the place will go to see our contents. You will be connected to nature, and that's the first step. But we have to have other steps, because if it's just a content, an experience of 10 minutes, it's quite nothing.
So your goal is to maintain the link with the experience?
We have to work before to prepare people to see what we are going to broadcast and to make them understand that we are talking about biodiversity. We connect, and then we have to get them to take their hands and so that they can meet with NGOs, with personal acting, discussing with their neighborhood, and etc.
So you're creating meeting points?
Yes, it's a whole experience. We're not just a content producer. We want to create experiences.
That's great. Annick, you want to talk? So Annick,
yes.
What is the future of TV? And
I prepare a small presentation, so if we can have it, could be great.
Kevin, can you hear us?
Anyway, I'm working at France Télévisions, and in department innovation and prospective department, and I'm in charge of storytelling research linked to the new technology. And maybe the next
slide.
Next slide. Our mission is to prospect, innovate, test, debate, co-produce, how and invent what will be the future of the broadcasting. And in my small department, next slide, please, thank you. We are co-producing XR experiences. So immersive experiences. So it's VR, AR, interactive fiction, and whatever we will.
Can you explain what XR is exactly? It means
experience.
Experience. Okay. Different kind of experience.
Every kind of experience.
Every kind of experience. Okay.
And especially at that time, it's VR, AR, and interactive fiction for smartphone, or even for the connected speaker. We are developing interactive fiction for connected speaker.
Okay.
And maybe to show you a little bit more about what we are doing, I bring a small trailer on a new experience we are developing at that time. The name is 1 gram, so maybe we can see the small trailer at that time.
1 Gram is a global journalistic project that tells the story of a smartphone through a smartphone using augmented reality. There are 5 billion mobile phones in circulation today, and each one contains roughly 1 gram of precious minerals like gold, wolframite, tantalum, or cassiterite. These are essential in making our smartphones the powerful tools we have embraced in our lives. One country in particular has an abundance of these minerals, the Democratic Republic of Congo. But for many Congolese though, this natural wealth has been a curse rather than a blessing. In eastern Congo, these minerals are extracted under horrendous conditions, violating basic human rights or sustaining violence by armed groups. Whether they are used in motherboards, processors, or in making our device vibrate, Congo's minerals have become indispensable in enabling the digital revolution. But the Congolese who dig them up have been left behind. Take Freddy Moïse Wabulangwa, now 22. Freddy became a forced miner at the age of 12. Every day he had to dig to unearth rocks of cassiterite, a translucent ore that allows our touchscreen to be responsive. Until after 4 years of forced labor, Freddy miraculously managed to escape. 1 Gram explained the consequences of this trade and explored the solution to prevent more pain and abuse from reaching our electronics.
Thank you. Okay. So we see, and Pierre, maybe as a director of a VR experience.
Yeah.
How is it different from fiction? Because you directed fiction too.
Yeah, I used to
normal fiction.
I used to direct fiction for the last 10 years. So before it was, in a flat screen, and then I discovered VR like 5 years ago, and I started directing 360 films. So basically, it was immersive films with cameras. And then when I really dived into VR, I discovered that it's really more in between theater, video games, and cinema. So now it's more like I'm trying to create a real user experience where the user can move in the experience and touch things and have emotion with different sensoriality. So for that matter, it's really, really way different from what I did before. So now I'm working way more with developers, people in front of screens, and I don't really go into on cinema sets anymore, which is kind of sad. But those two things like cinema, video games are really merging lately. So now I'm working more and more with real actors to scan them and put them in my experiences. So I go back to my first loves more and more.
And did you feel the impact that this kind of experience designing, or what impact does it have on the audience?
You mean having like real actors?
No, doing the VR thing compared to the normal fiction thing.
To the classic films?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we were talking about it earlier with Annick. The main problem we have right now in VR is that it's a lonely experience. Like you're just by yourself under a headset. So I think the real challenge for us now is to create a social experience where the users can connect together and share an experience. So we already did a few projects like that, and I think really it's the future of VR. And on that matter, it's really way different from. It's different from cinema, but also you go back to something where people are sharing an experience together, but they can touch each other. They can really feel their body in the experience, and this is really different from cinema on that matter.
So it goes back to what you were saying, Grégoire, before. It's all about gathering people and.
Yes, in our locations we have between 20 to 80 people watching the same movie at the same time. So since we are biodiversity and wildlife, of course, kids and the family are very interested in. And so we have plenty of videos showing 80 people seeing the same elephant at the same time and connecting together to talk about what they have seen. And that's the first thing I say to anybody talking about the individual experience of VR, definitely you can make a mutual experience with that.
So is it like I have never been to your place. Is it like a movie theater but with a VR, or is it?
We could put VR headsets on everybody there, and it's okay. That is as simple as that. You just need a chair and VR headsets, and you're go. And
so
that's
like
okay.
it's like same place as here, but everybody.
We are in museums, we are in theme parks, we are in zoos, we are in different places. I can't tell more than just a seat. The VR headsets. We try, of course, to have a background about nature, about wildlife, so that the people are into the theme of the movies. But it's very, very easy. But once again, we need to work before the content and after, because yes.
So you work like with people like Pierre or Annick?
We work with all kind of filmmakers, but since our subject is wildlife, we need people going into the wildlife and capturing.
You need to go to the wildlife.
Yes, I think I
would love
that. Yes, anyone would love that.
Yeah, sure.
So yes, we can talk and we can work with quite everybody that loves nature, and I think it's about 100%.
Yeah. How many programs do you have?
We can talk on programs. We have 10 programs of 12 minutes, but we can also talk about how many animals we have. We have more than 140 animals into sequences of 30 seconds, something like that.
Okay.
And we have shoot in more than 40 countries at the moment, and we are, of course, growing numbers on that.
Oh, that's great. And Pierre, so are you doing your VR experiences with an idea of an impact on the audience?
How can I put that? I think it's really on that side. It's really close to what I used to do before. It's like we just find an idea, work on it, and suddenly we just try to make it work with VR, because a lot of projects came out and didn't need to be in VR. So it really have the purpose has to be connected to the technology. So it's just that every time we're working on something, we just ask ourselves, does it matter to do it in VR? But yeah, I think.
And what are the criteria? The criteria. What?
Well, there's the first thing is. The audience doesn't have to ask themselves, why am I here? Yeah, when you start a VR experience, suddenly you're like teletransported somewhere else. And the main questions you have is, why am I here? And this question, you don't ask this question when you go to a movie. You watch a film and you have what we call the fourth wall. So you are behind this wall and you're like protected by this wall. It's exactly the same in theater. In VR, you suddenly like appear in somewhere else. So you're not an audience anymore. You're a user. On that matter, it's really close to video games. So it has to be. You have to explain the audience why you're there and what is your purpose. So it's really hard because you have to write something where the user can do whatever he wants in a way. So you have a few rules, and I think this is the main thing. It's because if you just watch, it's really funny because Oculus, one of the company who is leading VR, it's a company who got by Facebook. They talk about this syndrome. They call it a syndrome. Is that if you go into a VR experience and all the actor around you doesn't really notice you, it's like being in a party where you're not invited. And they call it the Swayze effect because of the film Ghost. I don't know if people there saw the film, but they call it the Swayze effect because you feel like a ghost in a film. So nobody notices you, so you have to make the audience feel they're there for a reason and they can connect to the other character of the story.
Can you tell us some of the stories you've made right now? I know you made many, but just to...
Lately, I'm working on a project on the Chauvet cave. It's an ancestral cave in the south of France. and it's a project we do with Google Arts and Culture. So we scanned the whole, not the whole cave, but parts of the cave, and Google gave me basically the 3D model of the cave, and I had to tell a story about that. So I didn't want to be just a visit, because there's a replica of the Chauvet cave you can visit, so it doesn't make any sense to do the same. So it's more like so I worked on what would be a dream of someone 35,000 years back there. So basically it's a dream into the cave. It's a 10-minute experience where you can walk, you can see all the those beautiful drawings made by our ancestors, and it's an experience where, as you were mentioning, where we try to make you connect with our ancestors. So this is lately I'm working on that. It's going to be out by the end of the month. And there's others, but upcoming.
Upcoming. You cannot talk about them.
Not yet.
And you have many stars in your movies too.
Actually, with the company I co-founded, we're trying to reach an audience who's coming not for VR, but more for the talents or the experience. So we produced an experience called Spheres 2 years ago. That won Cannes Lion, no, not Cannes Lion, Venice Lion, sorry. And the voiceover was made by Jessica Chastain, Patti Smith, and Millie Bobby Brown. We did another film called Gloomy Eyes, which is really close to the Tim Burton atmosphere. And Colin Farrell did the voiceover. So on each project, we're trying to bring talents. So people don't come only for VR, but also because we have nice talents in the films.
Yeah, and you use talents in a different way than traditional cinema.
Exactly, yeah. And it's Sony Voice, so it's cheaper.
So it's perfect. Annick, is it anything you want to?
Yes,
how do you work? What is? So we saw one of the things that you've done with the
yes,
Quantum
we are
Lab.
developing at the time, and I would like to add something. What Pierre said about what is VR. VR is sensation. Normal film is more emotion. In VR, we are in sensation because all your body in the experience, and we are talking about experience, not about film. And somebody said to us, when you experiment a VR film experience. You have a souvenir as in reality, as if you really experiment what happened, and it looks like real life. It's really powerful, really powerful medium.
So you can have impact, because I saw many VR experiences for education purposes, like if you want to learn how to help somebody who has health problems, you can learn that really easily with the VR stuff. So it means that if you want to do something for environment and experiment.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
permaculture or.
Yes, that's one thing I wanted to add is I talked a lot about before and after about how you can make an impact. So right now we are working on 3 ways to make an impact. The first one is about education. So we basically go into schools and help them to develop scholar programs about biodiversity. And the fact is that when they are talking about biodiversity, then we come to the schools for free, and we put all the kids into the ecosystem, so they understand what they are talking about. That's the first way to see it. The other way is that once again, VR is an entertainment, so you need to use that to make people dream. And so that is why we go into hospitals also to see sick kids and get them the VR headsets on the head, and so they can go elsewhere. You are teleported into something else. And I also think that we can make people involved with VR, because once you've been connected, Then if you propose people, we have a program to buy lens, to buy wild lens, so that we can restore wild reserves. If you can connect them and you catch them just after that, they will help us to restore wildlife. So
Really? Oh, okay.
that's the way we can impact with VR, because it's such emotional, it's such involving, that once you are in it, just after that you can do something, you can act.
That's nice. In what ways is it the following step of TV? Because it's in a way it looks really different.
Yes, it's not usual broadcasting, but while we are exploring such a medium, it's to invent what could be the broadcasting way in the future. Nowadays, already the broadcasting is changing. Less and less people are looking at classical TV. They are looking through YouTube, through platforms, through and choosing their own programs. So we are to explore this and to invent what will be the next step. So that's the reason why my department exists.
And what will be the future for you? What do you see?
I'm not. I don't have une boule de crystal ball, so I can't tell you. But I think it's more and more experiences. People want more and more to experiment something, not only look at a film or whatever, but to experiment and also to act.
And the do-it-yourself trend.
Not only do-it-yourself, but to interact with what is showing to you, and how to, yes.
They want to be active. They don't want to be
they want
anymore.
To be active more and more.
They want to choose their programs, and they want to have an experience, not only a story. So it means
yes, a story, but to interact with the story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think there's so many screens. Like, now we have Netflix. Like, everybody's watching Netflix on different screens, like on their TV, on their iPhone, on their computers. And I feel like there's a lot of passivity in watching so much things, like binging, series. I mean, I do too. But I think it's immersion. It's not only about VR. It can be even like a nice, museum can be an immersion, or just traveling. It can be an immersion. I think this is really a need we have as humans, to connect with things and to touch things and share experiences, not only like being in front of a screen. And so I feel like there will be, we will come back to immersive stuff more and more. I don't know, if you heard about the Atelier Lumière in Paris. It's a really nice place where you can see like painting of Van Gogh on walls. It's like a projection mapping, and everybody loves that. It's something where it's like VR, but you can share it with all your family. So I think we're going more and more into something like that.
Nice. If you have any question, just one. Okay. Can you come? Yeah. Oops.
Thank you for the debate. I'm running an agency for disruptive innovation. Can you hear me? My question was, how could you use VR? I mean, if you had a magic wand, une baguette magique, what would you tell the big tech companies or the big corporates who have so much difficulties to imagine tomorrow, to imagine their business model, to imagine the products, to imagine how would you like VR to be included in the way we imagine the future?
I think that definitely getting VR into a collective experience, that would be the key, because so much people think that it's individual, and I think that my two friends do agree with that. We do try to make it collective, and new technologies and senses and all the atmosphere that you can put around the VR will make it collective, definitely.
if I can just add up something, I think it's also really about content. You know, for the last 5 years, I don't think we really had great content on the platforms. So I think it's just a matter of taking someone from Netflix and putting them at Oculus, or and trying to get studios to do great VR and great experiences.
One last question.
Isn't there also a problem of making sure they all have the same hardware, so there's not going to be a competition for what kind of hardware we're going to use, and that all the platforms can link into that one system?
Lately, you can if you have like an Oculus, you can watch almost everything from the other platform. So more and more, it's not really a problem. But I agree that at some point, one of the company will have to win to get all the business and be the one.
And about the technologies, we are talking about VR, we are talking about AR, we are talking about video mapping, etc., etc. Yes, I do think there will be somewhere in time where it's all going to be the same experience. And yes, the next step is to have home equipment on this kind of devices.
But before to have home equipment, we have to acculturate.
To be used to.
Acculturate the public, the audience, to that kind of experience, because a lot of people doesn't know what it is at that time.
Yeah.
So you have to share, to show, and that reason that why at that time we want to develop more and more location-based experience to share and to show and to share and to show.
Find talents.
And now you can just go to see our experience. It's just there.
Okay, thank you very much. That would be.
And
okay,
ours too, there is one
Okay,
in
perfect.
our stand too, France Info, so you can try it.
Atlas 5 now. So thank you very much. It was a really nice roundtable.